As long as I remember, I've always been fascinated by mountains, the clouds. I've always wondered how it must be peaceful at the top. In reality, you'll find strong winds, the cold, rain, and ice crystals flying into your face. But every time I do it, I tell myself never again. But then, I catch myself packing my bag again and again and again. Maybe because every time I learn something new. Have you ever felt tiny in front of mountains? The vastness of sand deserts, the infinity of plains covered with snow, the tall trees of the Amazonian jungle. Have you ever felt the safety of grassy plains, the freshness of water after a long walk? Have you ever been thirsty for even the smallest drop? Were you ever scared on steep mountain ridges, or fascinated by the beauty of golden clouds during a sunset? Have you ever felt insignificant, surrounded by things that will outlive us by millions of years? There's a reason nature walks are recommended in certain therapies. The human brain is wired to experience something science cannot yet understand, a feeling called awe. It's the feeling of being part of something bigger than ourselves, or being connected to something outside our body or our mind, a feeling that makes us more attuned to everything around us. And the brain is wired to experience awe in these very particular circumstances. We don't know the purpose of awe, what function it fulfills in the human brain or in our existence. We suspect it is partly what makes us spiritual beings, what makes us believe that there is more than what we see on earth. The outdoors play a huge role in my spiritual journey. It is trekking and contemplating the outside that made me who I am, that taught me the most profound lessons in life. My mom never understood. She grew up in a farm in Poland, harvesting potatoes in the fields. Her life was a dynamic existence in contact with nature. She experienced the rhythm of the sun and the moon, the seasons. She could name many species of plants, trees, and animals. She would be out whether it was plus 35 or minus 40. But she never understood why on earth would I leave the comfort of our home. Because for her, being outdoors was for work. And to some extent she was right. Why would I put myself in such discomfort? Why would I train every week with 25 kgs on my back, climbing hills whether it is raining or snowing? Trekking taught me that, very often, the most beautiful landscapes and lessons are at the end of the toughest routes. There is indeed a difference between what you see when driving to a beautiful location and walking to a somehow ordinary one. I remember some of the most beautiful destinations I went to, but only vaguely through pictures or videos I've taken. But I cannot forget the times when I've trekked above 3,000 meters in the French Alps, walking for 7 days, 12 hours a day with 25 kgs on my back, and this while fasting. Or being caught in a blizzard in Iceland, in the middle of nowhere, a 2 days walk from any road or human presence. I remember clearly every single minute of these experiences. How I had to walk in wet clothes, how I was falling asleep with the sunset, waking up in a flooded tent. I remember the fatigue, the wounds, the hunger and the thirst, the feeling of the different terrains under my boots, and how I always say never again. What brings me back there? Chasing that fleeting feeling of awe, the adrenaline, the dopamine, or the challenge of conquering summits? Modern life teaches us to conquer nature, conquer summits, trails, as if we're in a fight, a boxing match with the environment, as we need to defeat nature. And while we fight, we forget that we, humans, are nature. Modernity is a culture of separation. It makes us believe that we are a separate entity, that we don't need nature to sustain ourselves, that nature is actually getting in the way. Especially since we'll be soon leaving Earth and living on Mars, we already rely on synthetic foods and soon on electronic body augmentations. Now we have even transformed our relationship with ourselves into a commercial activity. If you're hiking, you need a brand partnership, you need a sponsorship, you need to do a fundraiser, you need a live broadcast on TV. We think of ourselves as brands, commodities. We are all disposable money-making machines. We are not just milking the earth for money, we are milking our lives. Every single breath shall be monetized. What we didn't know is that by fighting nature, we've been waging a war on nothing else than ourselves. It's a story old as humanity, the story of the human ego, believing that we are above everything else. Every time I venture outside, it is a reminder that we truly are nothing compared to the wilderness, that we truly are nothing without the wilderness, because we too are wilderness. What is there to conquer apart from our own ego? In a world that pushes us to be leaders, a world where we are taught to harness the power of others and command people to crush competitors, to conquer and vanquish, mountains taught me that, no, I don't want to be a leader. I am no one's commander, competitor, or enemy. I don't want to lead people. I want to be there for them. In the mountains, if you want your group to reach destination, you can't be a leader. You have to be a guide, a coach, or a steward. You have to show people the dangers and help them overcome them. You can't blame people for their weaknesses. You have to support them achieving their best. A guide, a coach, or steward can't be ahead of everyone. You need to be by their side. Trekking is one of the most humiliating experiences in my life. Humiliating comes from the Latin humus, which means ground, and from humus comes the word humble. And actually, I've realized that trekking is similar to the journey of life. Sometimes the path is flat, the air is warm, the sun is shining and the view is magnificent, but at other times the path is a steep slope, the ground is slippery, rain is pouring, there is no visibility and there's a storm coming in your way. Sometimes you get lost. But still, you need to carry on. Because if you don't carry on, you will never reach destination. You will never reach safety. You will never reach shelter. You need to move, even if it's just with small and slow steps. Slow motion is better than no motion. You need to accept the conditions that you cannot change, or seek refuge from the conditions, even if it's one step at a time. And finally, when you reach safety, the relief, the gratefulness. I always feel grateful to have a shelter, grateful to be safe, grateful to be dry, grateful to have food, grateful to have a soft bed and tap water at home, grateful that I was able to make it, despite the limitations of my body. Life is just like trekking. Choose the right gear, the right companions, prepare your route and learn how to navigate the world. The world is a mercy for us. No matter how harsh the conditions can be, there's always a place where we can find shelter, water, food and nurture. I always think, if things like this exist, how can there be no hope? It takes one molecular reaction for life to take a unsuspected path. We're not trapped in a prison-like destiny. There's another reality out there, different spaces, climates, fauna and flora. The world is bigger than we think. And if we are part of it, what is our purpose on earth if not to be a mercy for each other? Whenever I walk in nature, since I am nature too, I am also hiking within myself. I am exploring different perspectives of my mind, my being, my identity. If I want to become a better person, I literally need to treat nature in a better way. I need to be in harmony with it. I need to ask myself the question, does every word I say, every decision I make, something towards chaos or something towards harmony? What do we do? What are we doing for us to be a mercy to the world, to each other, to ourselves? And this is what keeps me walking.